everybody. So this is going to be a video response to Sargon of Akkad. I actually came to this discussion a little bit too late. It's been a week, but he puts on a video regarding free speech versus hate speech. The video is called Perfect is Never Good, link down below. And I just want to give my thought on the matter. A little background to this whole thing. So, Sargon of Akkad is one of the YouTubers to whom I'm subscribed to. He does a lot of good work, and recently he was involved in a discussion regarding what happened in Cologne, Germany, where apparently there was some gang sexual assault going on with some of the incoming Syrian refugees who are just pouring into Europe, as well as some economic migrants who are taking advantage of the situation. His most recent video is called The Aftermath of Cologne. It's a really good video. I really highly recommend it. But apparently he got into trouble with his viewers when he said in his video that he would ban anybody who is going to spam his comment section with hate speech, because what he's discussing is a sensitive topic and all that. So a lot of his viewers got really pissed off because Sargon is supposed to be this guy who supports free speech. And yet, he's acting almost like a SJW here, banning people and preventing free speech. And in response to that, Sargon made another video, which is one I'm responding here, in which he defended himself. And what I'm getting from what he said is basically, he doesn't see why free speech has to include hate speech. And it's really not worth it to display quote-unquote hate speech on his channel's comment section, because he would then run into the risk of being censored or even getting his video taken down by YouTube/Google. And he said that he really worked hard on his video as part of his full-time job, so he would have to make some compromises. Now, before I go into it, I just want to say that I do think his viewers overreacted a little bit. Some of the comments I saw, they were a little bit extreme. I don't think he necessarily deserved all of that. That being said, I have to say that as of now, I don't really agree with his stance right now. And I will address some of the concerns I have as best as I am able. So first of all, the problem is what a lot of commentators have already brought up, which is, how do you define hate speech? What is hate speech? You, Sargon, says something like, well, don't give me this bullshit that you cannot see that something is hate speech. Well, actually, personally, I really can't. I mean, I don't even see TJ, aka the Amazing Atheist, when he ranted against some Tumblr girls, in which he said something like, I wish you were raped, you deserved it, oh, I don't think anybody would actually want to rape you, etc. This is something that had been used against him quite a lot, that he's a misogynist and he's a hater and so on. I don't actually even see that as necessarily hate speech. I perceived it as exaggerated, crude humor, which I believe is how he ended up defending himself, and then he apologized for it. What hate speech is for me is really just something that people say which touched upon individuals' sensitivities and feelings, which is completely subjective. That's the problem here. I don't know what the situation is in the UK, but at least here in the US, we say we hate this, we hate that, like all the time. So what is hate speech is really just whether what you hate air quote, is important and sensitive to another person. So, for example, I could say something like, I hate cats. And then cat people will call me a hater and call that hate speech. Whereas dog-only people would probably simply call that venting, and a lot of them would sympathize. Or I could say, I hate dogs. And dog people would call that just would call me a hater and call that hate speech, whereas cat people will call that just venting, and probably a lot of them would sympathize, etc., etc. So Sargon, when you make a video like this, you really have to clearly operationally define what you mean by hate speech and also what you mean by banning. I mean, do you mean that your video would get flagged or it would get taken down? Or do you run into the risk of having your entire channel being taken down and banned from never ever being able to come back to YouTube again? So what are the repercussions of letting people say whatever they want in your comment section? And how big and or serious this repercussion is, and how likely that would happen? Okay, the second thing is, you said that this is your full-time job, that you make a living out of making YouTube videos. And now most people probably don't know that it is hard work. I know. I don't have a lot of time making videos, and even the quality, which are clearly much lower than yours are, they take a lot of my time. So I completely understand that. And you said that you really would rather not risk having all of that work going down the drain. Now, I actually see it in a different way. So the thing is, your income comes from your viewers. It comes from their donations. So really, your first number one priority should be your viewers' needs and concerns, instead of this higher up authority, which is YouTube or Google, since it's your viewers who take money out of their pockets to support you. In addition, if you didn't say that you would ban anybody from making comments, and let's say that you got a bunch of trolls spamming your comment section with bullshit, and your video got taken down or your channel got flagged or whatnot, I think you would actually be able to get more support from your viewers. You could say to your viewers, hey, my channel got flagged and my video got taken down because of some comments that I did not moderate because I believe in free speech, right? And now I would try to get them up again. I mean, I assume that you have all your video projects saved somewhere. And you could say, now I really, really need your support in recovering my channels and my videos. So, you could say something like, so if you guys could donate a little bit more this time to help me fix all of that, I would really appreciate it. I think, Sargon, if you had just done that, I would really think that not only will you get more money out of your current patrons, you might even get quite a few more subscribers. But since you didn't do that, you did the other thing, you now have many people unsubscribed, and I don't know, you probably lost some money. I mean, I could be wrong about it. It's just from what I'm getting from the fact that you felt the need to make a specific response on this matter. Okay, now I want to get into the juicy part, which deals with this larger issue of free speech and compromise. So honestly, what I really got from your argument, and you can correct me if I'm wrong about it, what I'm getting is that what you're really trying to say is that free speech can be civilized. I think that's probably the word that you were looking for. And I get that. And I think that had you said to your viewers in your latest clone video, if you had said, hey, what I'm discussing is a sensitive topic, so please do me a big favor and try to be civilized, reasonable, and thoughtful in the comments. It's really not worth it if some trolling got my video taken down that I spent 16 hours to make. I think, Sargon, if you just had said that, you wouldn't be getting so much backlash right now. And what's considered civilized in my opinion, would be much easier to quantify than avoiding free speech. Because being civilized just means, hey, use proper language, proper grammar, try not to use name calling or swear words or slangs to make a point, etc. I mean, there is even an example of that from the YouTuber Thorium in that video regarding the callers to the BBC regarding the refugee situation. I mean, I had a friend who literally dubbed it as the most civilized trolling he has ever seen. You know, every single caller in that video, one after the other, was civilized. I mean, okay, they were harsh, they were very critical of the host, but they used proper language, they did not call the host any names, they did not swear, etc. And yes, you can argue that they were exercising their free speech. And you could argue that there will be situations in which, let's say you have a debate, and people in there say, hey, yeah, sure, you can state whatever opinions you have, but be civilized about it. Otherwise, we will have to ask you to leave the discussion and ban you from ever entering to it again. So I get that. But the thing that you have to watch out for is the words and concept that you use. So if you say that you support free speech by definition is basically, yeah, say whatever someone thinks or feels like saying. I think the important thing to recognize is that we don't actually have free speech in our society. At best, we have the freedom to express differential opinions and ideas, but that by itself is not free speech. It falls under free speech, but it's not enough to define what free speech is. Which is why a lot of people flock to YouTube and other social media forums, because there you do have more freedom to express things that you won't be able to say elsewhere, or at least you're supposed to have this freedom, ideally. And that's really important to a lot of people. So I can really see that from their perspective. So I think you should be vigilant about these things and think it through before you make such statements. The other issue is what you said about compromising some things for the greater good, which is the thesis of your title, Perfect is Never Good, right? And this happened to be something that I feel quite strongly about. The question you really need to think about is, to what extent are you willing to make such compromises? So when would you draw the line, and where would you draw it? Because it's difficult and complicated. Just to give you my experience in this, I'm currently in academia, and people there, they compromise all the time. And when they do, they make the exact same argument as you. So people run into things like, oh, you did all the work, but you did not get acknowledged. Oh, you got an authorship taken away even though you clearly contributed. Oh, this person got an authorship even though he didn't do any work, but just because his data set were used in analysis. Oh, this person got his job taken away because somebody complained about him because he spoke up about something. All of these things I have experienced, and it's quite common. But all of it, people do them because of the bigger picture, because they think it's for the greater good. These things happen because people choose to rank other people based on their usefulness. So they tend to protect the people who brings the money or people who will be partners in their grant in the expense of other people. Because, like you, Sargon, they are afraid to piss off these big people and not get the money, not get the partnership, not getting the support, etc. And they will end up saying to these other people who got the short ends of the stick, hey, why would these things matter to you? Why can't you just get over it? I mean, we got the grant, we got the money, we got the result, and you got paid. You were funded and paid out of this grant, so what? But is this really okay? I happen to think not. Not that I can see from their perspective, but I tend to believe it's not done out of some kind of desperacy, but it's just something that people got used to. They got used to this mentality of the end justifies the means. They got used to always looking at the big picture and end up ignoring individuals' contributions and needs. And don't get me wrong, of course, there are extreme situations in which the ends do justify the means. So if, let's say, there's a terrorist attack and you ordered a bunch of people to defend people in general, you know that some, if not most, of those people you sent in will die. But that's an extreme case. Vast majority of the time, I don't perceive that end justifies the means. So in my case, so what if that person gets acknowledged? So what if that person got the authorship? What if you stuck to your principles? Would there really be the repercussions that you feared? Would those repercussions really be likely to happen? But they don't think about if you stuck to your integrity, to your principles, you might partner up with better people, or your big people would eventually get over it because partnership goes both ways. These people, that is your reflex to protect, partner up with you because they need you too. So that's why I'm never okay with that. I'm never okay with just maybe something bad will happen if I do this air quote small compromise, this small evil deed to someone. Because what I perceive is that most of the time it's not justified. It's not justified to hurt individuals just for a maybe I might piss off the big people. Furthermore, I tend to think that if everybody just act with integrity to stick to the good principles, it might prevent people with power to abuse their power. But if you compromise, you don't know when you will be furthering the power abuse. So I guess what I'm saying is, again, Sargon, I understand that you have your own personal preferences with things. But you should be vigilant with yourself and be thoughtful about what you're doing and what the implications are, and whether the implications and especially the likelihood of what you fear might happen really outweigh the principles. Because I would say that generally speaking, they don't. Anyways, that's just my 2 cents. Again, sorry that this video is kind of late, but please give some thought to it. I do wish all the best to you because I don't think you're a bad person. And I look forward to your next video.